Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Cabot and tonight we're going to the theater. Yes, tonight we're going to be playing Bad End Theater. So, if you are appreciating the moderately more than mediocre content, do me a favor, take the like button, shove them in the popcorn bin, take the subscribe button and drop them in the drink. And with that being done, let's get started. Here we are. Alright, there is a warning of blood, gore, violence, and strong language. Here we are. Let's enter the theater. Take a seat. Welcome to Bad End Theater. On this stage, we shall be toying with fate. Hooray! You will make many, many choices, unlocking darker and darker paths, all in order to witness a lovely variety of tragic events. Lovely! First, allow me to explain how it works. To begin the tutorial, select whichever doll you like. Oh, this guy. We're the demon. You control the demon doll. You're a fierce-looking guy, just minding your own business. Oh boy. How will you interact with the human doll? Play nice. You try to make friends with the human doll, but it kills you in cold blood. How ruthless. Rude. You found your very first bad ending, but don't worry, the story need not end here. Let's reset the stage. Try controlling the other doll. You control the human doll. You're a friendly little guy, just minding your own business. How will you interact with the demon doll? Play nice. You and the demon doll are able to set aside your differences and become friends. Yay! Why, this isn't a bad ending at all. I should have written out this possibility. It's just not suited to my theater whatsoever. Now that you know how the story goes, you can set the doll's behavior in advance. As you just saw, these behaviors will automatically be set to what you chose during your last playthrough. But now you can turn each one on or off without having to replay them from that doll's perspective. Yes, my theater actually doubles as a puzzle game. Now, try turning the doll's behaviors on and off to see the different outcomes. Alright. Friendly, just minding. Let's play nice. Okay. I'm done. I get it. Yes. This game saves your progress automatically, just relax and collect all the bad endings at your own pace. Now, without further ado, let's start the show. Let's go with the hero. You are the hero. You like to think of yourself as a pretty reliable and swell guy. Your life has been rather ordinary, aside from the occasional heroic adventures fighting evil monsters and whatnot. You are told a maiden from your village has been kidnapped and is likely being held captive at the nearby demon overlord's castle. Who even puts a village right next to where an entire demon army hangs out? You don't get it. You're happy to protect the townspeople, though. You were born to play this role. You head off on your adventure to rescue the maiden. But demon soldiers block your path. You could kill them to gain experience. Slaughter! You make your quick work of the vile creatures who stood in your way. You feel much stronger now. After a long trek, you make it to the castle's front gates. You were faced with an army of demons that all look very intimidating. There's no way to sneak past these monsters if you want to reach the overlord. Let's ask. You attempt to explain why you've come, but the monster before you is eyeing you with suspicion. They can't help but notice the demon blood from earlier that you haven't had the chance to wash off yet. Whoops. You have no choice but to fight the army in self-defense. Oh well, more EXP for you! You make your way through the castle, fending off all the demons that stand in your way. The overlord appears, demanding to know what the hell you're doing murdering all of her soldiers. You get straight to the point and ask her where the maiden is. She feigns ignorance. A convincing act, but you won't be fooled. If the maiden isn't here, then what happened to her? You can see only one answer. The overlord has definitely captured her. In fact, it's possible she's already been devoured. Thinking about that poor maiden's fate fills you with hatred. You fight the overlord with everything you've got. You've become strong from the hordes of demons you took down before this final battle. The overlord is almost no match for you. You cut her to pieces. The overlord has fallen. You breathe a sigh of relief, but your job is not yet finished. You search the castle, and unfortunately you find no sign of the maiden within its walls. It's just as you suspected. She must have already been devoured. You feel hollow. A great evil has been banished from this world, but what does that matter if you were too weak to save someone? You stand alone amidst the carnage and ponder what it means to be a hero. You return to the Overlord's remains and wrap her head in your cape to bring back to the village. Sir, surely your great victory will be celebrated. Whoops! Let's reset the stage. Oh, I thought I could be diplomatic, too. Let's turn that off. Alright, let's see what the maiden do. You are a maiden. You live in a peaceful village next to a spooky demon overlord's castle. You are told that you are fated to be captured by the overlord one day because you are a beautiful young girl. Demon overlords apparently love capturing those. You think of how you haven't heard of that actually happening to anyone, but maybe the demons just haven't been given the opportunity. Who knows? You are in a church and you pray to your god, asking why you have been born into this role of maiden. You respect the divine plan and all, but you're really just curious as to what the point of it is. You are impatient. Meeting a demon actually sounds pretty gosh darn exciting. Maybe you'd understand your role better if you were to just hurry up and get captured already. You leave a note and venture forth to find a demon. Just, see what happens. Not long into your little adventure, a demon underling appears before you. It looks pretty scary. Introduce yourself. You tell the demon your name and explain that you're a maiden from the village. The demon suddenly jumps you and starts biting a lot. How painful. This plan of yours was completely stupid, you think. Why couldn't you have just been more patient? Why did you go looking for trouble? You aren't angry or anything, of course. This is all your fault for trusting a demon not to devour you on sight. This is your punishment for questioning fate, you guess. Bit by bit, you are swallowed by the demon until you are no more. Yay! Okay, cool. What does dude do? You are a demon underling in service of the Overlord, and you aren't particularly strong, but not particularly weak either. That's what your friends tell you. Your job is to guard the castle and keep humans away. It's unbearably boring. Oh, I just realized. I do apologize. There we are. Now we'll sound a little less silly. Okay. Heroes really come all the way out here to challenge the Overlord anyway. It's a lot of standing in one place staring into nothing. Feel like you're gonna go crazy if you don't get a break. You decide to ask the Overlord for a day off. She gives you an earful about responsibility and unquestioning obedience. You wait for her to finish her lecture before returning to your post. What does she know about anything? Who made her the boss of everyone? You complain about the Overlord to your friends. They agree she is kind of a snob and totally deserves to be kicked off her throne. You only wanted to vent your frustrations, but the conversation somehow turned into an assassination plot. You should probably steer this in a responsible direction. Let's not. You tell your friends you were totally not serious about this whole thing. You were actually cool with the status quo. After all, life must be pretty dang good if the only thing you have to complain about is that you live so comfortably there's nothing to do. The others nod but don't seem convinced. You say a coup d'etat would be more effort than it's worth. But you're still gonna rebel and sneak out of the castle. Your friends praise your mischievous ways. The change of atmosphere excites you. You spend some time rolling around in the grass, wild and free. As you make your way along the path to the nearby human village, you encounter a maiden. She seems very frightened and screams for a hero to come save her. You consider your options. Tell her to quit yelling. When the maiden realizes you're not going to hurt her, she regains her composure. Now she started talking to you like your friends or something. You don't understand humans at all. You speak the same language, of course, which has always confused you, because why is there conveniently only one language in the world? If demons and humans have independent societies, wouldn't it make sense for them to each have their own language? The maiden is going on and on about some kind of destiny she's trying to fulfill. The bottom line, from what you gather, is that she wants you to take her to the Overlord. Sounds like it could be interesting. Besides, you got nothing better to do. Satisfied with your day out, you take the maiden back to the castle and present her to the Overlord. The Overlord asks where you found this maiden, knowing full well you left the castle when you weren't supposed to. You apologize for disobeying her, but hope that the maiden is an interesting enough present that you may be forgiven. The Overlord nods and says everything's cool as long as you always listen to her from now on. You're impressed with what an easygoing boss she is. You mention how you can't believe you and your friends even considered overthrowing her. She gives you a look and you say that was just a joke, of course. She smiles and dismisses you. He decides it's about time for a nap. You don't get to sleep long. Your friends wake you up. Rude! One of them is stepping on you pretty hard. You ask what their deal is. They say they're planning a whole revolution. They're going to get rid of the current overlord and put a new ruler in place. They want to hear if you're in or out. And being a pretty lazy underling, you of course reply with, "That sounds like a lot of trouble. How about we just skip it instead?" Your friends question your loyalty to their cause. She's actually not so bad, you guys. Your friends seem pretty disappointed. They apologize to you, but before you can ask what they're sorry about, one of them suddenly seizes you. Someone who's still loyal to the Overlord really has no place in our castle. You understand, right? Their claws tighten around your neck. You don't bother to struggle. You're outnumbered. You already know how things like this end. This is a pretty messed up thing to do to a friend, you tell them. They slit your throat in response. Aww. Let's reset the stage. Okay, what this one do? You are the Overlord. You live in a castle surrounded by your demon servants. It's a pretty cushy life, you think? Except for those pesky humans who keep killing members of your army. There's even a rule called Hero, whose whole purpose in life is just to dethrone you. What's their deal, anyway? You've actively avoided pissing off the humans in hopes they'll leave you and your army alone, but they never do. You're still new to the whole Overlord thing. If you're being quite honest with yourself, you don't really understand the politics of it. But you remind yourself everyone is just doing their best to fulfill their roles. You won't let them bait you into being the evil Overlord they expect. You think you're pretty cool and mature to hold yourself to the higher standard like that. One of your underlings walks into your room, totally interrupting your thoughts about how awesome you are. They're saying something about how boring it is to stand in one place guarding the castle all the time, especially since no one ever comes here anyway. You see their point, but the way they're whining about it kind of bothers you. What to do with this underling? Give them the day off. You tell them to go take a break from the stifling castle atmosphere and refresh their dark soul. A day off should be fine every once in a while. They thank you and happily scurry off to do who knows what. You have nothing better to do today, so you decide to nap for a little while. Being the Overlord sure is great. You awake to a knock on the door. The underling from earlier brought back some company. It's a maiden from a nearby village. She says her role is to be captured by you. The maiden then goes on to say that she's been getting very impatient thinking about her impending capture, so she's come here to speed things along. You appreciate her honesty, but regret to inform her that you never had any plans to capture any humans. She seems very disappointed by this. Oh, perhaps I'm not performing my role well enough. How can I become more maiden-like? You don't really understand the question. You think this world puts way too much focus on destiny and junk. Just go home and stop worrying about it, you tell her. The maiden seems to be having a hard time wrapping her head around this. She insists that she stay and talk to you more. You feel warm inside as she looks into your eyes. This is the first time a human has looked at you without contempt. You wonder what to say. Let her stay a while. You can't bring yourself to send this maiden away. She just got here. You enjoy a nice long chat with her, sharing stories about your kind. She expresses her surprise that demons are not at all what she expected them to be. You are glad that she seems to have an open mind about these things. You also bring up how you always instruct your army to avoid humans as to not to agitate them and send heroes after you. Oh, that explains why the people of my village have been left unharmed. It's because of your orders, isn't it? We are very grateful. You're surprised to hear her thank you. You've always thought of humans to be violent and unreasonable. That's why your servants are always getting killed despite your efforts to leave them alone. But this maiden is different. You joke that maybe you've been lying to her this whole time and that you were actually super evil all along. The maiden laughs at that, saying she wouldn't mind being held captive here. The people in her village are a little exhausting at times, she says. You can't tell if she's into you or not. You're interrupted by another human in your doorway. This time it's a hero. He was apparently searching for the maiden, who is rumored to have been captured by your kind. Captured? Not at all. I only wanted to meet with the Overlord. Didn't anyone read the note I left behind? After everything is explained, the hero expresses his relief that this whole misunderstanding hadn't led to any horrible consequences. The maiden apologizes for causing trouble, and the hero asks her to return to the village with him. Confusing feelings well up inside your heart. You're surprised that you had one of those to begin with. You don't want the hero to take this maiden away from you. I'll let him go. You're certain that she'll return to spend more time with you. You just have to trust in that, you decide. With the hero and maiden gone, you plop down on the comfort of your luxurious overlord bed. Your room feels so empty now. Is this loneliness? You hope your new friend will be back soon. You close your eyes for a while, until your door slams shut. Before you know it, everything around you is engulfed in flames. What's going on? You try to escape, but something's blocking the door. You're having trouble forcing it open. What's this? Someone didn't want you getting out. Are you being usurped? They have zero foresight. What castle will they rule from if this one burns? You don't want to believe that your underlings have betrayed you, but this is no accident. Those ungrateful bastards. You choke on the thick black smoke from the fire. You can't believe you're being done in by a bunch of cowards. You'll see them in hell! Oh, crispy. Alright. So, it looks like everyone gets 3. Okay, now that we've played through that... let's do dutiful and polite. Let's see what happens. Boop, 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 boop. Actually, let's try fleeing like a coward. Let's see what happens there. Forgetting your pride, you escape with your life. But you can't return home now. Your reputation will be ruined. You wonder how you'll ever be able to rescue that maiden all on your own if you can't even fight some lousy demon underlings. You'll take your chances at the castle. You're a hero, after all. This is your job. After a long trek, you make it into the castle's front gates. You are faced with an army of demons that all look very intimidating. Let's gain the diplomatic trait. You go up to the nearest demon and explain why you've come here. They stare you down and you feel very uncomfortable. But they seem to trust you and export you directly to the Overlord's chambers. That was easy. The Overlord and Maiden seem to be in the middle of some casual conversation when you barge in. You all look at each other in surprise and confusion. There is no time to hesitate. The Maiden explains that she was never actually captured and that she came here of her own volition. That was a pretty dangerous thing of her to do, but no one got hurt, so at least there's that. You ask her to return to town with you to reassure everyone her safety. The Overlord allows the two of you to leave and you casually exit the castle. You try to make conversation with the Maiden, but she's pretty quiet since leaving the Overlord's room. Is she shy? She suddenly stops in her tracks and you turn your head to ask what the deal is. The Overlord is engulfed in flames! You can't help but feel relieved you got the Maiden out of there when you did, but she suddenly takes off toward the burning castle. Panic sets in and you try to follow to stop her. The smoke is so thick, I've already lost sight of her. What is she thinking? It's too dangerous to continue. You feel hopeless. You stand alone at the castle gates. Your body won't allow you to take another step forward. No, going in there would be suicide. You'll return to the villagers and tell them there was nothing you could do. You were too late and the Maiden was claimed by the demons. Boop, boop, boop. Hark. Alright. Boop, boop. Alright. The demon doesn't even seem to have been really listening to you, which is a little irritating. They agree to take you to their master nonetheless. After a long walk to the castle, you are introduced to the Overlord! You explain why you've come and she squints at you. It turns out she never had any plans to capture maidens or do anything else that would agitate the humans. You wonder for a moment if she might be lying, but it doesn't really seem like it. Still, this doesn't make any sense to you. You've always been told that demons would one day seek you out and something awful would happen. Then a hero would come to your rescue. You don't want to believe you've been lied to all along. Maybe it's just that you haven't been maiden-like enough. You ask the Overlord what you should do to be a more suitable maiden, but she doesn't seem to understand. Oh, just go home and stop worrying about destiny so much. She makes it sound so simple. This overlord seems like the complete opposite of you. You want to learn more about her and how she thinks. You insist on staying to talk with her more. The overlord shares many stories about demons with you, and little by little you realize they might not be the ruthless monsters you were raised to believe. Whoop. My bad. As it turns out, she commanded her demons to avoid towns and villages. She didn't want to risk giving the humans any excuse to send a hero out after them. You realize that must be why you'd never heard of any demons attacking your town. You express your gratitude to the overlord on behalf of your village. She says you can thank her by telling the humans to stop raising heroes. She's tired of her servants getting killed off by them. You've always thought that demons were violent and unreasonable creatures, but it seems the overlord could say the same of humans. You may be different, but really they're just trying to live their lives, same as you. You feel better, like you're starting to understand things a lot better. Oh, but maybe everything I've said was to deceive you and the other humans. What would you do if I turned out to be super evil all along? Even if she were to capture you now, you think this place is far more interesting than the way things are back home. You kind of like not being told to expect demons to come after you all the time. You feel free. Honestly, you've always kept it to yourself, but spending time with this overlord has been very nice. You feel butterflies in your stomach. As you think that, a hero enters the room. You're surprised to see him at first until you realize he must have been sent to retrieve you. Confused, the hero asks what's going on. You explain the situation, reassuring him that you were never in any danger. The hero expresses his relief that this whole misunderstanding hadn't led to any horrible consequences. You apologize for causing trouble, but really, didn't anyone read the note you left? Jeez. The hero asks if you'll return to the village with him to give everyone the news of your safety. The overlord allows the two of you to leave, and you give her a little wave as you exit the room. You'll be back soon! You're about halfway back to the village when you feel something is off. Unable to shake your concern, you look back over your shoulder. You stop in your tracks. The castle is engulfed in flames. Is the overlord alright? You can't return to the village like this. You have to know. You have to be sure everyone is safe. You've already taken off before the hero can think of stopping you. You scan the fleeing demons, but the overlord isn't among them. Against your better judgment, you rush into the burning castle to find her. You quickly reach the overlord's room, but the door is shut tight, and the handle is too hot to touch. You're too weak to force it open. You pound your fist against the door helplessly. What were you thinking? This is all because you'd forgotten your role. Only a hero could pull this thing off. You start to cough. The smoke is too thick and you can hardly breathe. You realize you haven't got much time left now. You desperately head toward the stairs to save yourself. But the fire spread faster than you expected. You won't make it outside. You can't help but laugh. What a joke. A maiden saving the overlord? If you just stayed true to your role, things wouldn't have ended like this. This is exactly the kind of punishment you deserve. You let the demon fire cleanse your rotten soul. Aww. Alright, so we didn't get anything extra for the maiden. Well, son of a bitch. Okay, let's try the underling. Let's just gobble her up. Maidens aren't the best meal, but you figure you should live up to your demon name and strike back against the humans. You start devouring the maiden without so much as a second thought and feel quite proud of that. Other humans would surely praise you with curses if they were around to see. Other humans would surely praise you with curses if they were around to see. Oh man, if only someone could have been watching. Time to find an audience for your evil deeds. You wander into a nearby village. People are screaming and running away, throwing rocks at you and whatnot. You think that's pretty rude of them. You haven't done anything yet. Let's put on a show. You attack the nearest human. He is old and weak and his bones crunch delightfully. Your audience's screams grow louder. Applause! You think, hey, this is actually pretty fun. I should have taken revenge like this a lot sooner. As you continue your bloodthirsty dance, striking the villagers down, you fail to notice a sword-wielding hero running toward you. He takes you out in one swift blow, and you're just a demon underling after all. As you die, you think, that was totally worth it. The curtain closes. Alright. Alright, we're gonna... I would like to see more of the maiden's personality traits. Nope. Okay. I guess other things. 41 ends? Good gravy, okay. Is there like a map? Alright, I'll do more. Play like a coward. Oh, sorry. I didn't read that. Okay. You escort the maiden back home. She's oddly quiet on the trek back to the village. She must be too shy to speak. The villagers are very pleased with what a good job you've done, slaying the overlord and saving a hostage. They throw a huge celebration in your name. You are remembered for generations as the greatest hero the village has ever seen. Triumphant hero. Okay. You know what, let's... Alright. Let's go... Actually, we're gonna skip all this. The whole revolution... Alright, you know what? Let's go disloyal. Okay, let's overthrow the overlord. You tell them you were just joking and clarify that you're totally in to win it. They say that you are always terrible with jokes. Whether or not you actually feel like killing the overlord, you know how bad it'd end up on the wrong side of things. If this assassination deal doesn't pan out, you can always pretend you were innocent all along. Just beneath your shield of faux confidence, you worry about what you're getting yourself dragged into. You follow your friends outside the castle to talk more about the plan. You're curious if they have any idea how they want to go about this. They figured they'd just lock her in a room and set it on fire. What a stupid plan. That could go wrong in so many ways. You realize your friends are just a bunch of directionless thugs, useless without someone's guidance. Your guidance! There'd probably be casualties if you fought her head on, and while showy deaths make a revolution a heck of a lot more fun, it's probably the wrong way to go. Your friends agree and suggest that you play the assassin. You really don't want it to come down to this, but you can't back down now. You'll have to be the one to assassinate the overlord. Besides, no one has any better ideas. You sneak into the overlord's room. She's taking a nap like usual. This is almost too easy. You silently approach your master. She looks so peaceful. Time to die. You figure the cleanest way to do this would be to dig your claws into her throat, so you do just that. She wakes, but not in time to stop you. You watch as she chokes on her blood, cursing you before finally expiring. Well, that felt terrible. You remind yourself it was either her or you, and you weren't about to let yourself get killed by anyone. You leave the room to find your friends waiting just outside. They look pleased. Only now do you realize they must have planned to use you like this from the beginning. You are the new ruler of the castle. Your subjects bow before you. You live in fear that they will one day betray you as you betrayed your overlord. Oh. And B. Alright, let's reset the stage. Alright, so let's turn on antisocial. And play the maiden again. Skip.
The Overlord tells you again that you should just get lost. How rude, you just got here.
Alright.
You don't want to cause any trouble, so you figure it's time to go home. Along the way you encounter a hero. He asks what you're doing. Do you know the Overlord's castle is like right there? You explain everything that happened. The hero seems to think you're lying to him. He asks if you've been brainwashed by the demons. What nerve! You are very upset that the so-called hero would treat you that way and leave in a huff. You return to the village alone. Everyone was very worried about you. They surrounded you with 1,000 questions and you tell them your story. You explain that the Overlord never had any intentions to harm anyone here, and you notice the looks of uncertainty in the crowd. People are whispering things to each other while you speak to them. You are loudly interrupted by an older man. He rudely calls you a demon sympathizer. The crowd is growing unruly. You don't understand. You only told them the truth. Do they not believe you? Everyone begins speculating what must have actually happened. They weave elaborate lies and ask you to prove your innocence. How could you have returned without the aid of a hero, they ask. You could not have possibly escaped from the Overlord on your own without harm. You must be conspiring with the demons, trying to trick everyone into believing they aren't the horrible creatures we know them to be, so they say. Have the people of your village always been blind by their fears and hatred of things they've never cared to know? You wonder how you missed that before. You were seized by the crowd and the voices from all sides are calling for public execution. You are to be burned at the stake. You don't want to die. You wonder if would it have been better to hide the truth? You don't like the thought of that. You always lived honestly, so why has this happened? Why are you being punished? You hear the dissenting voices of your family and neighbors, but they, like you, are powerless against the momentum. They can only watch as you burn, and you can only cry for them. You are so sorry. Alright, so what do we got? We got polite and obedient. Alright, we're gonna... But the Overlord objects to the hero's suggestion. You tell her you plan on returning soon, but she isn't having it. You feel nervous. The hero puts on a brave face for you. If you won't let her go, maybe you demons are... Oh, excuse me. If you won't let her go, maybe you demons are evil after all, and if you are, I'll be forced to vanquish you. You leave me no choice. The Overlord suddenly jumps the hero. She tears into him with her claws. You want to cry out, but the scream catches in your throat. You watch because you can't look away. Has she really been lying to you all along? You wonder if this is your punishment for questioning the divine plan. The Overlord approaches you now. You back yourself into a corner. Her expression is complicated. Being captured by the Overlord in a horrible way like this was your destiny after all. She vows to keep you very safe from now on. You're afraid to find out what that means, but there's no one left to save you. You belong to the Overlord now. Oh. Actually, you know what? It's been about half an hour. I think we're gonna cut it here. I'm having a lot of fun. I still want to know how to get this third one, but you know what? We will figure that one out another time, my friends. Because it's... Oh, there we are. Now, I hope you enjoyed this. We will have more trips to the theater. After all, we still have 30 endings to go. So, I'm going to try and do maybe about 10 per episode now and get this all complete. I really appreciate you coming to the theater with me today. It's been absolutely glorious. Thank you so much. Mwah. And remember, you are loved,
You are important, and you and your feelings are valid. And I will catch you all on our next trip to the theater.
Bye-bye!